D-Man here. Just telling you, I hope you like this video. So let's get in to the video.
Hello guys, D-Man here. This time I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a short film review. Um, it's Canis. Canis. This is a short film. I'm gonna start doing these reviews. I don't know how much of them I'm gonna do. I know I'm gonna do Canis and also another short film. But after this one, obviously. So this is my first review of a short film. It's called Canis, obviously. If you want to look this film up on YouTube, you can look this up on YouTube. Just write Canis 2013, and you'll find the 16-minute short film. That's all you have to write. Just Canis 2013, and you'll find it on YouTube. So this film, very interesting film, and we're gonna do this like normal. We're gonna do this non-spoiler, then spoiler first, then spoiler after. So non-spoiler first, then spoiler. So let's start off with the non-spoiler review of Canis. Canis, whatever, you know what I'm saying. So this film is a claymation. I think that's what you call it, claymation. Like short film. It's a claymation short film. It's about wild dogs. It's very like seclusionist. There's no talking in it. It's only like ambient noise, amulet. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Amulet. Not saying that right. It's only amulet noise and a lot of dog barking. But anyways, it's about this guy. This is like the main character. He's like a 15-year-old kid, I would say. This is his grandpa. He's not in the film too much, but well, I'll get to that later. And also, this girl right here, she's in the film, and she's like the secondary character. But mostly, it's about this guy and his dog. So the film is very interesting. It brings up a lot of questions, which I will get into in the spoiler part of this review. It brings up a lot of questions. It's a really interesting film. Um, I'll rate it between 1 and 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, 5 being just average. I would have to say this film's about an 8 for me. I'd say I'd watch this film like twice or three times just to just to see all the parts. Like I don't want to miss anything because it's very interesting to think about this film and what it's about. So I'd watch this film more than once. I have watched this film more than once. Actually, I've watched it twice. It's a very interesting film actually. So, anyways, without getting into spoilers, without getting into spoilers, I can't really say much more about this. So let's get into spoilers, starting now. So this film starts off with this kid and his dog huddled up in the corner. This is like the beginning of the movie, pretty much, or beginning of the film, I guess. It's not a movie. He's huddled up in this corner as one of the wild dogs breaks through this window because this window has it has not barbs on it. It has a steel rods in it, but one of them, like two of them, are bent enough for these wild dogs to get in, which is really messed up. As you can see, these wild dogs can get through this thing. But there's a bear trap underneath it, and plus there's a dog killing stick that the old man uses to kill these dogs once they're through. So the dogs get through, they get trapped in the bear trap. The old man kills them, unlocks the door, throws them out, locks the door back up, and boards up the window again because they keep on breaking through the boards. And this old man, he's very disappointed in this kid. This old man, he's very disappointed in his grandson. I don't know if it's his father, but I'm just gonna say it's his grandpa. He's very disappointed in him because when he's like huddled up in this corner, this old man's just oh, like what am I gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do when I die, sort of thing. Like that's what I assume he's thinking because he's just like he has that face, you know. He shakes his head. He's just like, "Yeesh," sort of thing, you know. So he's like, "What are you gonna do when I die?" sort of thing. And then it moves on to the next scene where they go up to collect their food, and their food is pigeon eggs. Yeah, they eat pigeon eggs, which is kind of gross. So they have a pigeon cage with a bunch of pigeons in it. As you can see here, they have a pigeon cage with a bunch of pigeons in it, and these pigeons lay eggs and they eat their eggs. Um, which is one of the problems I have with this film is when the dogs come in and they kill the dogs, they don't eat the dogs even though they don't have much food, which is kind of dumb to me. I'm just saying survivalist instincts here. Eat the damn dogs. But they don't have much food. And what ends up happening is this pigeon freaks out when he grabs it, and this scene occurs. The old man falls. This kid tries to save him, but the old man gets devoured by the dogs because the wild dogs outside are just very vicious and they devour pretty much everything. So he tries to save him because the old man falls and this rope's attached to him right here. He tries to pull him up, but he can't because he doesn't have the strength. So his grandpa dies in the first like 5-10 minutes of the show. No, 5 minutes I would assume, or more like 5 minutes. So his grandpa dies. He runs downstairs to stop the dogs from eating him. He throws a rock at one of the dogs through the window, and that dog turns out to be the wild. Let me see if I can find a picture of her right here. It turns out to be this girl right here. This is actually the scene where she looks up at him. And they're both really surprised to see each other. Like, this girl's surprised to see another human being, and he's also surprised to see another human being. But she's, like, wild, but she's not fully wild. We'll get into that a little bit later, and the reasons why she's not fully wild. So, anyways, after that, he lies down. She runs away. He lies down, and he hears knocking the next day. He hears, like, a pawing on the door. And it turns out to be this girl pawing at the door. She's not really knocking, she's more pawing at the door. And she grabs this old man's key, gives it to him, which makes me think that she's not fully wild. She does know a little bit about humans. So she gives the key to him, he opens the door, lets her in, and then this scene happens. And this scene, it's really bad, but it's kind of hilarious at the same time. Just because of the way, like, the animation makes it look, it's really funny. The animation makes this scene look really funny, even though it's really, really bad at the same time. Basically, she ends up raping him. I'll tell you how it happens, but I'm just saying, I know rape is bad and everything. Be you a boy or girl that gets raped, it's really bad to get raped, obviously. And it's not a laughing matter, and you obviously should, like, go to the police and stuff. But she ends up raping him, and in the scene itself on the short film, if you haven't watched it yet, which I suggest you watch it before you watch this review, obviously. As I said, just look Canis 2013. You'll find it on YouTube. But in the short film, like when she does it, it looks hilarious to me. I'm sorry, it just does. It looks like it looks like a dog humping a leg, but humping a human, I guess. It's very confusing, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So basically, when she comes in, his dog starts growling at her and starts like trying to back her off because she smells like a wild dog to him, and he thinks that she's a threat, but she's very intimidating to him, and she scares off his dog fairly easy, which makes him get afraid of her because his dog's afraid of her, so he's afraid of her, and he's starting to think, like, what did I do? I let this wild person, now I'm gonna get eaten, like I'm gonna get attacked and killed. But instead, she starts sniffing his crotch. So she starts sniffing his crotch, and as I said, this scene happens right here. She sniffs his crotch, somehow gets his penis out. I don't know how that happens. You don't see it happening, by the way. And at first, I thought she was just dry humping him, but then later on, we learned that she did rape him. But somehow she gets his penis out through his pants. I don't know how she does it. Maybe she bites a hole in them. I'm not sure. But somehow she does it, rapes him. He passes out because he's being raped. I don't know why he passes out. Maybe just the pure shock from it. And then when he wakes up, she's gone. His last remaining pigeon eggs are gone. And the door is unlocked, which means that she's not exactly super wild because, again, as I said, you have to lock the door from the inside and then unlock it. and you have to twist the key a couple times to unlock it and lock it back up. So what makes me think that she's not completely wild, and she does know a little bit about humans. So she's gone, and he's like sad, and another dog broke through the window again. So he's like pissed. He's like sad and pissed off because not only did she steal his eggs, she raped him and ran away. And let me remind you, this is like the only other human that he's seen for such a long time, other than his grandpa. So not only is he alone with no food, she ran away. So he grabs the killing stick and he goes and kills this dog. Right here, that's the killing stick. It has a nail sticking out of it. He grabs it, kills the dog. He goes out and he lays back down, and he's like, you can tell at this point that he feels violated. He feels sad and frustrated at the same time. Because when the dog comes, like when his dog comes up to call up to him because he wants to make his owner feel better, he just turns away and like bugs him off because he doesn't want to be touched right now. Obviously because he's just been raped, which probably makes a person feel very violated. So he doesn't want to be touched by his dog right now, and he feels really sad because he just lost his food and plus the only other human being that he's seen for so long. And then the next day he wakes up and he's starving because he hasn't eaten for like 3 days at this point. So he's starving. His ass is starving. He's just like, oh, I'm starving. And as you can see, his own dog rips up the other dog and brings him a piece of meat, which he eats his piece of meat. Even though this piece of meat right here is raw, he doesn't have enough strength to cook it, obviously. But he eats it, and he devises a plan to start killing the wild dogs, and bringing them up to eat them. So he grabs the bear trap and he grabs the rope that was attached to his grandpa's leg. He ties the bear trap to the rope. It doesn't work the first time, but the second time he gets like this little device right here to work. It's like a piece of wood tied to the rope, and then the bear trap's in the middle. And he starts doing this thing where he lowers it down, he kills the dog, he drags it back up. The dog and him kill the dog, and they get to eat it. And lo and behold, what most people will figure out what's going to happen is this girl comes back like 6 or 9 months later. I don't know how long it takes to give birth to a kid. I'd have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it's 9 months, right? So she comes back about 9 months later, pregnant, about to give birth to his kid. I'm assuming she comes back for his help. And also probably because she wants food and stuff and water, because he has water from this giant tank behind him, which is like a rain tank, by the way. So she comes back. She gets caught in the bear trap for some stupid reason. I don't know why, but she does, because she's wild. As I said, she is wild, but she's not fully wild. I'm surprised that she was stupid enough to get caught in the bear trap. So she comes back. The dog tries to kill her because he thinks she's just another dog, and he's got to defend his owner and kill her. But he's just like, no. He takes the dog away. He takes her inside the house, where he locks the door behind him because the dog's trying to kill her still. But the dog breaks free, breaks through the door, and attacks the girl because obviously the dog thinks the girl is just another wild dog trying to attack his master, sort of thing. But the guy's trying to like hold the girl, help her give birth to his child, and fight off the dog at the same time. And he's not thinking straight, I don't think, because he's very like panicking at this moment. Because she's like giving birth, the dog's attacking, and instead of doing like the right thing, which would be like putting her down for a few minutes, taking the dog off to the side and like disciplining it and just being like, sit down, don't move, sort of thing. Instead of doing that, he just fights against the dog as he holds the girl, which is the wrong decision in the end. And the only thing that he can think about is to kill the dog in the end to save the girl, which is pretty messed up. So he grabs his killing stick and he kills his best friend. And the girl ends up dying by, I don't know, probably between the dog attacking her and giving birth. She ends up dying from that. So it's really sad at the end, because not only did he kill his best friend, but now the girl that he tried to save is also dead. But she gave birth and her baby's pretty healthy. So now he has a baby that he has to raise on his own. And this is where the end of the film comes up. He grabs this girl's dog skin off of her. He puts it on himself. He grabs his killing stick and he wraps his baby up in like this blanket. And he wanders off into the wilderness. He opens the door, unlocks the door, opens it. The wild dogs rush in to kill the fresh killed meat. They rush in to eat the dog and the person. And they start eating them, and he just walks off into the sunset with his baby to find, I assume, to find people or something like that. It's a very interesting ending. This film reminded me of like an apocalyptic type world. At first, I thought it was a western, but then I was just like, nah, this is more like apocalyptic. Because like all these wild dogs and stuff, and like the lack of humans and stuff. So I think personally, this is an apocalyptic type film where he's all alone with his grandpa, but then he finds this girl. She dies at the end, and his best friend, the dog, dies at the end too because he thinks it's the only way to save her. Although, as I said, he was panicking at the time, so he probably did it too rashly. And in the end, they end up dying, but he ends up having this baby that he has to raise. We don't know exactly how he's gonna raise it, but he just walks off into the wilderness with him. Um, I'm assuming that he's gonna go find other people, hopefully, and that's how it ends. It's a very interesting short film. As I said, I rate an 8 because it's very interesting. It's very good. And it's just this really interesting short film. And it's kind of messed up on some points. It doesn't have any speaking, but I would suggest to watch this film. As I said, look up Canis 2013, and you'll be able to watch it online. But anyways, this is the starting of my short film reviews. This one was the very start. Canis, very good short film. I suggest watching it. It's very interesting. It has a fairly good ending. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share if you liked the video. And as always, my friends, stay sane.
D-Man here. Just remind you to subscribe by clicking here. It works on mobile. Or click here to watch my last video. It also works on mobile. Just remember, subscribe and stuff. Alright, bye-bye.